581 to give us the option to either opt in or opt out. You had to have these free public hearings if you intended to opt out. So I just want to make clear that we had the meetings. We decided to do this in order to keep all of our options open because there was a deadline. You know, if we opt out, we have to do so and prepare a resolution that has to be received at the Secretary of State's office by March 1st. So no decision has been made as to how we're going. We're hoping to hear from everyone, you know, how they think we should go, and, you know, trying to make that decision. So Mr. Horton has prepared a little bit of a presentation, a PowerPoint, just to kind of hit some of the highlights of the bill. And if you're like the rest of us, you'll have more questions when you're done with these PowerPoints than they answer sometimes. But Mr. Horton, you want to?
Good evening, Mayor and Council and citizens. What I've done is I have tried to take an hour-and-a-half presentation and cram it down into 11 slides. So just to kind of give you an overview of the high points of what we're doing here. And I'm trying to find that happy spot with the microphone. House Bill 581, what is it? It was passed in the 2024 legislative session and signed by Governor Kemp, introducing key changes that will impact local government revenue. This bill includes procedural modifications to property tax assessments and appeals, and a new statewide homestead exemption, which local governments can opt out of, and a local option sales tax aimed at providing property tax relief. There's three components to it. So how does the homestead exemption aspect of it work? In the House Bill 581, it's referred to as a floating homestead exemption. You have these documents and are available on the counter, and if you don't have them and want a copy, please email me and I'll shoot them to you if you didn't get one tonight. So I'm going to try and summarize it. The difference between this and the existing homestead exemption that Camden County has in place, theirs locks you in and you're there, okay? With the floating, they take what's referred, I want to say the right name, but the State Revenue Commissioner determines a percentage of growth statewide. Likely CPI would be used to do that. So there is the possibility of growth seen in the revenues coming in from homeowners. For homes, the first receiving this exemption in the taxable year of 2025, the base assessed value will be the 2024 assessed value. Okay, so they look at what the 2024 assessed value is, and that's what they work from. So in 2025, that's where the homestead exemption would take place. Okay, for homes first receiving the exemption in later years, the base year assessed value will be the assessed value for the immediately preceding year. For example, if I were to buy a new home next year, the following year, which would be 27, that's when the assessment would kick into place. Okay, and it would be based off that 26 value. Everybody with me? I haven't confused you good, because I'm confusing myself. It is similar to the homestead exemption, and it does reset if you refinance your home, you purchase a new home, or you do, how did they word it? Substantial property change to your home. If you add on a $40,000 addition, which that's a small addition, and I'm pulling numbers out of there, but if you do a substantial addition to your home and change that value, it can affect that homestead exemption. But it just resets to that. You still have the exception and it resets. There is some effect of the House bill or the homestead exemption. The taxable value of the home may only increase at a rate of inflation each year. That's going back to that, what we were talking about, the the Secretary of Revenue or whatever that position's called. Essentially controlling the growth of how the value of home can increase annually. Homeowners already granted a homestead will receive this exemption automatically. Non-homesteaded property, i.e. commercial, will continue to be valued at fair market value. Okay? So if you are like I am and you're looking at this new homestead exemption that the city did last year for 62 and above, you're still going to be eligible for that exemption. Okay? It doesn't do away with those other exemptions. Okay? Which this basically says that as well. So we can kind of float through that because I've already talked about that. If the county were to, what this says is if the county were to opt in and they had the two, because they currently have the exemption, the one that is the more beneficial to you as a homeowner is the one that they would use. Okay? There is a decision to opt out or stay in. This decision has to be made by council prior to March 1st. At March 1st, we have to have a document sitting in the office of Secretary of State, I believe is who it needs to go to, that we have opted out. If we decide to opt in, we don't have to do anything at this point, and the city becomes part of this homestead exemption. Okay? So there is a decision that needs to be made. Going on to part two, and that is the floating option sales tax. That would work basically in Robbie terms, making it very simple, real similar to the splost or the lost. It gives us ability to tax up to 1% or 1 cent on sales, okay? Just like splost does, like lost does. And the way that would work is whatever that lost would bring in, we would be able to offset on the budget side or on the revenue side. Everybody follow me there? So when we figure out what we need as far as the millage rate goes each year, that millage rate could be reduced by that flossed. Okay, so what the state was doing in their thinking was transferring responsibility of the homeowner paying all those taxes to the sales tax. Okay, there is a caveat to this. What happens if somebody in your county basically decides to opt out? It affects everybody else in the county, okay? Another jurisdiction, okay? A city or even a county, okay? I'm not saying what they're going to do because it's still kind of up in the air, my understanding at this time. They're in the same boat that we are. But if the county opts out, we're not eligible for the flossed. If another municipality opts out, we're not eligible for the flossed, okay? So just putting that part out there. Remember, that's offsetting that millage increase. These are some numbers that were asked by council to produce. The percentage of homestead turnovers. Those are the ones that have had current homestead exemptions in Camden County that are located in the city of St. Mary's that had the homestead exemption, and they've sold their home to someone else. Okay, this is just the turnover rate to look, and you can kind of see the percentages over on the far right. You can pretty well say somewhere around 2.5% over a 5-year period has had turnover on the homestead exemptions. So we took lost and we looked at the money coming in because we wanted to know what the impact could possibly be on flossed. And so some of the numbers that we came up with, basically 16% of the funding that comes through Camden County funds our lost and our splost. Those are people driving up I-95 stopping to get gas, okay, or going and buying a Coca-Cola or something, okay? Those are estimated numbers. So that's what that particular slide is showing. We also wanted to look at how much building are we anticipating over the next 5 years here in St. Mary's. Here in St. Mary's, okay? You can kind of see those projections on the left. And we're talking about a lot of construction going to happen over the next 5 years here in St. Mary's. So, and the one part on the right-hand side of the screen is what has happened in the past several years. So, just a quick up view. I hope this has helped. If it hasn't, I'm sorry. But like I said, this is an hour-and-a-half webinar that we've all sat through countless times, and I wanted to pull the highlights out just so you have some information about what this is really all about. So I hope that helps. If you have more, please don't hesitate to ask.
All right, so we'll open it up first to the public, and